Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher once looked unstoppable, defying the age gap, the headlines, and the whispers. She was an A-list icon. He was the breakout star of that '70s show. Together, they projected confidence, passion, and control. Then came the cheating rumors, the public fallout, the 2013 divorce, and a long, careful silence about what really went wrong. Now, at 62, Demi is breaking that silence. In Inside Out, she reveals details that recast their marriage in a far darker light. Was it love undone by fame? Or was the truth hidden in plain sight all along? Stay with us to find out. It was not love at first sight for the couple. Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher first crossed paths at a dinner party in 2003. But it wasn't exactly love at first sight. Moore later joked on Live with Regis and Kelly that Kutcher barely spoke to her that night because his attention was fixed on someone else. "He didn't have 2 words to say to me," she said, recalling how she wasn't his focus at all. Things shifted when they ran into each other again at a play. Moore later told Harper's Bazaar that she wore what she called the dress that gets results, and this time she caught his attention. It was an effective evening. It was a life-changing evening, she admitted. From there, the relationship moved quickly. Moore described feeling an immediate, powerful connection and sensed it could become something meaningful. Kutcher seemed to agree. In a 2006 interview with Parade, he said he felt completely at ease with her from their very first date. At the time, he even claimed they rarely argued, saying they'd had only one disagreement in the first 3 months and none after that, at least in the beginning. Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore joked about their age gap. One of the biggest reasons Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher drew so much attention was their 15-year age gap. When they started dating, she was 40 and he was 25, a difference the media never stopped talking about. In 2005, when Kutcher hosted Saturday Night Live, they even made a joke out of it. Moore appeared in exaggerated aging makeup and a gray wig, teasing, "My support hose are cutting off my circulation," as he escorted her on stage. But behind the humor, the scrutiny bothered her. Moore questioned why her relationship was constantly analyzed, while her ex-husband Bruce Willis marrying a woman 23 years younger barely raised eyebrows. She pointed out the clear double standard. In an interview with Harper's Bazaar, Moore also addressed being labeled a cougar, a term she disliked. With her usual wit, she said she preferred puma instead, something she felt sounded softer and more elegant. Demi Moore suffered a miscarriage early in the relationship. Early in their relationship, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher faced something far more serious than tabloid headlines. Moore became pregnant, and the couple were expecting a daughter they had already named Chaplain Ray. But at 6 months, she suffered a miscarriage, a loss that changed everything. In a 2023 interview with Esquire, Kutcher described the experience as deeply painful. "Losing a kid that you think you're going to have is really, really painful," he said, adding that people process grief in different ways. In her 2019 memoir Inside Out, Moore shared how devastating the loss was for her. She wrote that she felt decimated and admitted she struggled with the sense that Kutcher couldn't fully understand her grief. As she explained, he hadn't carried the baby, and at the time he was still in his 20s, not feeling the same urgency about fatherhood that she did. For Moore, the loss carried not just heartbreak, but the painful awareness that time was no longer on her side. Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore wed in 2005. Despite the heartbreak they experienced early on, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher moved forward with their relationship and married in September 2005. According to People, the wedding was kept largely under wraps, with many of the final details coming together just a day before the ceremony. One source described it as something that came together at the very last minute. The couple exchanged vows in an intimate ceremony at their Beverly Hills home. It was reportedly simple and personal, reflecting who they were rather than putting on a spectacle. Among the guests were Moore's 3 daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, as well as her ex-husband Bruce Willis, who remained part of the family circle. With the marriage, Kutcher stepped into the role of stepfather in his mid-20s. In a later interview with Esquire, he reflected on suddenly helping raise children who were 8, 10, and 12 at the time. He compared the experience to how some teen parents might feel navigating their 20s, but made it clear he embraced it. As he put it, he wouldn't have married someone with 3 children if he didn't truly love being around kids. Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore started a charity together. At the height of their relationship, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher weren't just focused on Hollywood, they also turned their attention to a cause they believed urgently needed support. In 2010, instead of exchanging Valentine's Day gifts, they launched the DNA Foundation to combat human trafficking. Kutcher told Reuters that hundreds of thousands of people were being trafficked in the United States and said they wanted victims to feel seen and valued. "We're sending the girls flowers and making them our Valentines so they know that someone can love them without asking for anything back," he explained. The couple used social media to raise awareness, speaking openly about the issue. Appearing on Piers Morgan Tonight, Moore said, "You have to acknowledge a problem exists before you can actually go about finding a solution," noting that many people didn't even realize how widespread the crisis was. The organization later evolved into Thorn, which continues its work today, focusing on protecting children from sexual exploitation and abuse. The couple tried again to have children of their own. After losing her pregnancy at 6 months, Demi Moore didn't give up on the idea of having a child with Ashton Kutcher. In her memoir Inside Out, she revealed that she went through IVF treatments, hoping for another chance. But the treatments were unsuccessful, and the emotional toll began to build. In an interview on Good Morning America with Diane Sawyer, Moore admitted that her desire to have another baby became overwhelming. "I really lost sight of everything that was right in front of me, which is the family I had," she said, acknowledging how grief and longing clouded her perspective. She also recognized the strain it placed on her marriage. Moore explained that the pressure and intensity may have pushed Kutcher away, suggesting that when someone is clinging too tight, it can create distance. The tension didn't just affect the couple, it reached her daughters as well. During a 2019 episode of Red Table Talk, her daughter Rumor Willis shared that at times it felt like they weren't enough. According to Demi Moore, the couple opened up their relationship. Over time, cracks began to form in the marriage between Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher, even as Moore tried to hold everything together. In her memoir Inside Out, she admitted that she often reshaped herself to meet what she believed he wanted, writing that she went into contortions to try to fit the mold of the woman he wanted his wife to be. She explained that part of that effort included agreeing to things she might not otherwise have chosen. "I put him first," she wrote, saying she wanted to prove she could be open, exciting, and supportive of his desires. At the time, she believed it would strengthen their bond. But in hindsight, Moore said those choices left lasting emotional consequences. Although she had agreed willingly, she later described the experiences as a mistake and admitted they brought feelings of regret and shame. Ashton Kutcher admitted to cheating on Demi Moore. The marriage between Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher grew more fragile as their relationship became more complicated. In her memoir, Inside Out, Moore wrote that introducing other people into their private life eventually blurred emotional boundaries. She later felt that those decisions were used to justify deeper betrayals that followed. In 2011, a 22-year-old woman named Sarah Leal publicly claimed she had been intimate with Kutcher after a party in San Diego. Reports stated the encounter allegedly happened around the time of his 6th wedding anniversary, though Kutcher reportedly told her he and Moore were separated. Moore said she believed the story almost immediately. "I knew she wasn't lying. she wrote, adding that Kutcher admitted it. Years later, speaking to Esquire, Kutcher reflected on the scandal more broadly, saying that when you make mistakes, you own them and move forward. For Moore, however, the damage had already been done. Trouble in the marriage took a toll on Demi Moore. In the end, infidelity appeared to be the breaking point. Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher announced their split not long after the cheating allegations surfaced, though the divorce wasn't finalized until 2013. By then, the emotional strain had already taken a visible toll. Moore, who had been sober for many years, relapsed during that period. Reports in 2012 described her as exhausted and physically frail, and she later acknowledged struggling with alcohol, prescription medication, and synthetic marijuana, a spiral that led to hospitalization. Looking back in her interview with Diane Sawyer, Moore admitted, "I think I blinded myself and I lost myself." She said the devastation wasn't just about the marriage ending, but about confronting deeper wounds in her life. Kutcher also spoke about the impact of the divorce. In an interview with Esquire, he said, "Nothing makes you feel like a failure like divorce. You failed at marriage." For both of them, the breakup marked not just the end of a relationship, but a painful reckoning. Ashton Kutcher stayed in touch with Demi Moore's daughter, Rumer. Although Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher separated in 2011, Kutcher maintained a connection with at least one of Moore's daughters, Rumer Willis. In 2012, when Rumer performed at a club in Hollywood while pursuing her singing career, Kutcher showed up to support her, cheering from the audience and taking photos. By 2014, Rumer shared that they were still in contact. She even reached out to congratulate him after he welcomed his daughter, Wyatt Isabel, with Mila Kunis. "I saw photos of her. She's very cute," Rumer said at the time. As she grew older, Rumer began to view the past with more perspective. She reflected on how young Kutcher had been when he entered their lives, noting that he was about the age she is now when he started dating her mother. Looking back, she acknowledged how overwhelming it must have been for someone in their 20s to step into a relationship with a woman who already had 3 children. Ashton Kutcher was angry about Demi Moore's memoir. In 2019, after regaining her sobriety and rebuilding her sense of stability, Demi Moore released her memoir Inside Out. The book contained deeply personal revelations, including painful details about her marriage to Ashton Kutcher. Ahead of its publication, she told the New York Times, "It's exciting, and yet I feel very vulnerable," explaining that for the first time, there was no character to hide behind, just her own truth. While Moore felt empowered by finally telling her story, Kutcher had mixed feelings. In an interview with Esquire, he admitted frustration over how the renewed media attention affected his private life with Mila Kunis and their children. He said that just as things had quieted down, paparazzi suddenly reappeared, even outside his kids' school. Still, Kutcher made it clear he didn't want to dwell on the past. He emphasized that his life was in a good place, and that reopening old wounds wasn't something he was interested in pursuing. Ashton Kutcher's current wife, Mila Kunis, starred in a commercial with Demi Moore. By 2022, any lingering tension between Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher seemed to have faded. That year, Moore appeared in a Super Bowl commercial alongside Kutcher's wife, Mila Kunis. The AT&T ad playfully imagined the two actresses meeting at a high school reunion as the Most Admired Alum Award was about to be announced. Both approached the stage, only to realize the honor was going to someone else. The awkward moment led to a light-hearted exchange, including Kunis joking, "We have a lot in common." As it turns out, they actually do. Both attended Fairfax High School in Los Angeles. Kunis reportedly reached out to Moore about collaborating on the commercial. Moore later told Entertainment Tonight that she never expected being a Fairfax alum would lead to such a fun and unexpected moment together. It was a sign that, at least publicly, the past had softened. Demi Moore has only publicly dated 2 men since Ashton Kutcher. Before his divorce from Demi Moore was finalized, Ashton Kutcher began dating his former That 70s Show co-star, Mila Kunis. The couple married in 2015, but by then they had already welcomed their first child together. Moore, meanwhile, kept her personal life quieter. In 2013, her daughter Rumor Willis introduced her to musician Sean Friday, hoping to bring some lightness back into her mother's life. The relationship lasted about a year before they parted ways in 2014. After that, Moore remained single publicly for some time. By 2022, she was linked to Swiss chef and restaurateur Daniel Humm. The two were seen together at high-profile events, including Paris Fashion Week and the French Open. Sources at the time described the relationship as calm and grounding, saying Moore appreciated his international perspective and gentlemanly nature. As of now, Moore appears to be focusing on her career, her health, and her family, choosing stability over spectacle.